everybody and welcome back. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. Welcome to lesson 28 from Learn to Play the Piano book 3. This is a follow-on series from my Learn to Play the Piano books 1 and book 2. What's new for book 3 is that it actually comes available with a song book 3 as well. Now song book 3 is full of 10 pieces which have some classical, well-known classical pieces in and some original pieces in, and basically they are all the kind of additional pieces that go hand in hand with everything that you've learned in book 3. So the links of where you can buy these books will be coming up just above my head here, or I'll put a direct link in the description bar underneath this video. These books are a 100% downloadable book, which means that you can buy and print them out wherever you are in the world. These are just copies that I have printed out on my home printer, and I've just bound them up myself for the purpose of this video. So let's get on with the lesson. Just before I go any further with lesson 28, I just want to point out that what you'll see on the book is a little bit blurred in the video. It's only just to protect the copyright of this book for this video. When you buy and download and print your copy, you'll get a perfect edition. So lesson 28 is mixing up the clefs. Now basically what I'm going to be doing is putting some of the clefs in the different hands. So for example, when you're reading the treble clef, which is normally the right hand, you might see a little bass clef in there, and vice versa. When you're playing the bass clef, you might see a little tiny treble clef pop up in there. Now, just because the right hand plays the treble clef, and it normally plays up here above middle C, why can't the left hand play a little bit down there, and vice versa? So, you know, the clefs aren't totally restricted by hand. The clefs are restricted by area on the piano. So the treble clef will read the notes up here, the bass clef will read the notes up there, but whichever hand plays it is anyone's game. It doesn't matter. The right hand doesn't just have to play the treble clef, and the left hand doesn't have to just play the bass clef. So I'll be mixing them up a little bit. So page 19, that kind of reiterates what I've just said here with a little bit more information. Now, some reason why we might do this is just to make it easier for the music. So on page 20, I've got a couple of examples that I've got here. If you look at the one at the top, we're in bass clef. You've got a middle C, which is at the top of the stave, and then we've got a B, which is just on the gate bars. It's on the second line from the bottom. So I've written that B in the treble clef as well, in the kind of second example underneath. So you've got a treble clef, you've got the middle C, which is both the same, because remember middle C and the bass clef is at the top of the stave, middle C and the treble clef is at the bottom. And this B here, all the way down here on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ledger lines is exactly the same as this note that's on the second stave in the bass clef. So what we're trying to point out here is both of these notes are exactly the same note, but to you, which one looks easier? Because I know which one looks easier for me. It's obviously the one at the top looks easier for me. So if we were putting that into a real piece of music, which is the third example that we've got just at the bottom of page 20, if you had, I don't know, a D and an F, remember, every good boy deserves, so that would be a D, and every good boy deserves football, so that would be an F up there. The next note we want to play is that B that was all the way down the bottom there in the treble clef, or it was sitting on the second line from the bottom in the bass clef. So that is the note we want to play, which is actually this one all the way down here. So it's a good octave below middle C. So middle C is here, the note we want to play is there. So our piece of music, our first two notes, the D and the F, start in the treble clef, and then we want to jump, so we're playing a D and then an F, and then we want to jump all the way to that B down there. So I mean, it would be unlikely that in a real scenario, in a real piece of music, that you would get this, but this is just for the purpose of this book. The way to get around that would be to put a tiny little treble clef, a tiny little bass clef that you've got here, and then that B. So we know we're going to be playing it with the right hand because we've got a treble clef, a large main treble clef at the start here. So it's all to be played with the right hand. So what we would do here is play that D, which is here on the piano. The next note we've got an F, which is here, and then we just read this note as normal. So just because there's a little bass clef doesn't mean to say that it has to be played with our left hand. It's still to be played with our right hand, but we just work out where it is on the piano. So this is in the bass clef, so we know we're looking at our all cows eat grass or our gate bars defend farm animals. It's on the second line, so I know I'm going to be looking at gate bars defend farm animals, and it's going to be gate bars, so it's going to be that B. How do I know it's the B down there? Well, in the bass clef I know that a middle C is just at the top of the stave, and then I can sort of count, you know, C, B, A, G, F. I can count backwards down the lines and spaces, or I can work out how many notes away from middle C it is and work out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, work out how many notes away from middle C we're going to be on the piano. So that's how I know that's there. So again, this seems a little bit confusing, but it really isn't. If you go on to page 21, it'll kind of explain it a little bit more. Again, I know this is blurred, but when you have your copy of the book, you'll be able to see perfectly. So remember, the top, we've got the two staves. The top line is for the right hand, the bottom line is for the left hand. Traditionally, the right hand is in treble clef, traditionally the left hand is in bass clef, and that's fine. But like I said before, for the odd occasion when the right hand wants to play a little bit lower down, it's much easier in the music to switch clefs. Because the notes are so low down, to do that in the treble clef would mean you'd have so many ledger lines, and that would be so time consuming to read and very confusing. Putting it in the bass clef means it just looks a lot neater and a lot tidier. So when you get to the second line on page 21 of Prelude by Purcell, you'll notice that in the right hand, somewhere in the middle, you've got a little bass clef. So just work out those notes that you would normally play in the left hand, but you're just going to be playing them in the right hand. That's all it is. Work them out as normal. Forget about what hand is playing it for a second. Just work them out as normal, and then worry about what hand is going to be playing it. Once you know what those notes are and where they are, then the right hand just plays it. So you just have to put your brain in a different gear for that point just to sort of play it. But like I said, once you've worked out what the notes are, then you can worry about what hand is going to be playing them. So I've got two examples to play, Prelude on page 21 and number 3 from book 1, Pieces for Children, on page 22. I'm going to play them both for you so you can hear how they're supposed to go. Don't forget you're supposed to be reading music by this point, so again, it might be a little bit slow, but that's fine. You'll get better and faster at reading music. So I'm going to play them through so you can hear how they go, and also so you can see where my hands are going to be on the piano according to the music when you follow it. So this is Prelude on page 21. Number 3 from book 1, Pieces for Children by Bartók. This is on page 22. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Don't forget that the links of where to buy Learn to Play the Piano Book 3 and the Songbook 3 will both be linked directly underneath this video. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson.